You are doing everything right. You are showing up. You are trying. And somehow it still feels like nothing is working. The yelling happens before you even realize it. The guilt hits immediately after. And then you promise yourself tonight will be different, tomorrow will be different, and then the same cycle plays out all over again. I need you to know something before we go any further. That cycle is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you are a bad parent. It is proof that you were never taught the specific tools that actually work, and that changes today. Here is what most people do not realize. The way most of us parent is not actually chosen. It is inherited. It is automatic. It is the stuff that was done to us, running on autopilot through us, right now, in our own homes. And the moment you understand that, everything shifts. Because you are not broken. You are just running an outdated program that no longer serves you or your children. There is a program linked in the video description below that is going to take everything you are about to learn and turn it into a complete system for your family. I am mentioning it now because the people who act quickly are the ones who actually see results. Do not let this be another video you watch and forget. Scroll down, check it out, and come back. But right now, let us go deep. Picture this. It is the morning rush. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong. Shoes cannot be found, the breakfast is wrong, there are tears before 8 a.m., and you can feel the pressure building inside your chest like a volcano about to go off. You snap. Not because you are a terrible person, but because you are a human being running on empty. With no system, no tools, and no one showing you a better way. The words come out sharp, and the second you see their little face, your heart breaks. You walk away feeling like the worst parent on the planet. That is not just a bad morning. That is a pattern. And that pattern is costing you something enormous. Research from the American Psychological Association consistently shows that children who grow up in emotionally volatile households carry that stress biologically. It changes how their nervous systems develop. It shapes how they handle relationships, challenges, and their own emotions decades later. And when you look at that data, not as a statistic but as a description of your child's future, that is when it gets real. That is when it gets urgent. But here is what nobody talks about. The cost is not just to your children, it is to you. Every time you lose your temper and feel that wave of shame afterward, there is a piece of your confidence that chips away. Over time, parents start to dread their own homes. They start walking on eggshells around their own children because they do not trust themselves. They start withdrawing emotionally because the pain of losing control feels worse than the distance. And the distance grows. And the connection that you desperately want with your child gets harder and harder to find. So let us talk about what actually works. Not theory, not generic advice. Real tools that transform how families feel moment to moment, day to day. The first thing you have to understand is that calm is a skill, not a personality trait. This is huge. People watch parents who seem naturally patient and think, I just do not have that gene. That is not true. Calm is a practice state. It is a neurological skill that can be trained. And the parents who seem effortlessly patient are not born that way. They have built habits, triggers, and internal responses that interrupt the escalation cycle before it takes over. You can build those same habits. You just need to know how. Here is one of the most powerful things you can do starting right now. Before you respond to any behavior that is triggering you, create a 1-second pause. That is it. 1 second. Not because you are suppressing your reaction, but because you are giving your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought and emotional regulation, just enough time to come back online. In the heat of a conflict, your brain goes into threat mode. And when you are in threat mode, you default to reactive behaviors. You yell, you punish, you say things you regret. That 1-second pause is the circuit breaker. It is small, it is simple, and it is the foundation of everything else. Now let us go deeper, because this is where the transformation really lives. Most parents respond to behavior. The most effective parents respond to what is underneath the behavior. When your child is melting down, screaming, refusing, throwing things, that behavior is communication. It is messy, infuriating communication, but it is communication. Your child is not trying to ruin your day. Your child is overwhelmed, scared, overstimulated, or disconnected, and they do not yet have the words or the tools to tell you that. So they show you, loudly. When you start seeing behavior as a signal instead of an attack, everything changes. Instead of escalating the situation by reacting to the behavior, you start to get curious about the signal. That curiosity diffuses the situation faster than any punishment ever could. And more importantly, it teaches your child, through lived experience, that emotions are safe to have and that they will be met with connection rather than shame. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real life. The same child who was melting down on the kitchen floor 10 minutes ago is now sitting with you, not because you bribed them or gave in, but because you got low, looked them in the eyes and said, "I can see something big is happening for you right now." That is it. You did not lecture, you did not threaten, you did not explain, you connected first. And connection is the only thing that regulates a dysregulated child's nervous system. Not consequences, not reasoning, connection. Studies in developmental psychology have shown over and over again that the quality of the parent-child relationship is the single biggest predictor of a child's emotional health, academic success, and long-term well-being. Not the parenting technique, not the punishment strategy. The relationship. So every time you lead with connection, you are not just solving today's problem. You are building the foundation for your child's entire future. Now here is where people push back. They say, "But if I do not punish them, they will think they can do anything." That fear makes complete sense, and it is based on a false choice. Calm, connected parenting is not permissive parenting. The most effective parents who use these tools have incredibly clear, consistent boundaries. The difference is not whether boundaries exist, the difference is how you hold them. You can hold a firm boundary without rage. You can say no and mean it without screaming. You can enforce a consequence while still being kind. In fact, consequences land harder and teach more lasting lessons when they are delivered calmly. Because a child who is terrified of your anger is not learning. They are surviving. And there is an enormous difference. Think about the best teacher you ever had, the one who actually changed something in you. Were they a screamer? Were they unpredictable? Or were they steady, confident, warm, and clear? That quality, that steadiness, is what makes children feel safe enough to grow, to trust, to listen, to try. And you can become that for your child, not as a concept, but as a daily lived reality. Let us talk about the long game, because this is what most parenting advice completely misses. The goal is not to get through today. The goal is to raise a human being who knows how to handle difficult emotions, who can hold relationships together under pressure, who trusts themselves and who trusts you. Every interaction you have with your child right now is either building or eroding that foundation. That is not meant to scare you. That is meant to wake something up in you. Because when you truly get that, you stop asking, "How do I get them to stop?" and you start asking, "What do they need from me right now?" That shift in question changes everything. And it is a shift that parents who have applied these principles describe as the single most important thing that ever happened to their family. Not because it is magic, because it is rooted in how human beings actually work. The parents who start leading with connection, who practice the pause, who get curious instead of reactive, who hold boundaries with warmth and clarity, they are not doing something extraordinary. They are doing something very specific and consistent. And the results are not just emotional. Research consistently shows that children in calmer, more connected households sleep better, focus better in school, have fewer behavioral challenges, and develop stronger relationships throughout their lives. The return on that investment is not just in the years ahead. It starts showing up within days and weeks of changing the approach. One more thing before we close this out. You do not have to be perfect at this. You are going to mess up. You are going to have days where you lose it despite everything. The goal is not to become a robot with no emotional responses. The goal is to raise your baseline, to make the calm response slightly more frequent than the reactive one, to repair faster when things go sideways, to show your child that even when adults make mistakes, they come back, they take accountability, and they keep showing up. That is a lesson more powerful than anything you could ever lecture them about. Because here is the truth. Your child is not looking for a perfect parent. They are looking for a safe one. Now, if you are sitting here and something in this video has moved something in you, that feeling is important. Do not let it pass. The program linked in the video description below takes everything we have covered today and builds it into a complete, step-by-step transformation system for parents who are serious about change. Not someday change, now change. Most people will watch this video, feel something, and go back to the same cycle. You do not have to be most people. The link is right below this video. The parents who go there today are the ones who will feel different inside their homes weeks from now. Do not wait until you have another day that breaks your heart. Go now.